Have any of you ever watched Parasite? You know that one anime? It's an amazing anime, amazing show. I think the name of the one of the main characters was Migi or Gigi. I don't remember. It's been a while since I watched the anime. But why am I talking about this anime Parasite? Well, you've already read the title. You've already seen the thumbnail. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I call the mind's parasite, right? And there's no official definition that I could pull up, that I usually pull up, but this is just a personal concept that I thought about and come up with myself. The mind's parasite, right? What is the mind's parasite? So, have you ever been in a situation, right? You've grown as a person, you've developed as a human being, you've learned new things about yourself and learned new things about how to interact with the world, right? Consciously, and I'm gonna give an example to make it all make sense, but consciously you are aware of what you should do, how you should act, and how you should move. So consciously you know what you should be doing, right? You know what the right thing is to do, but you don't do it, right? You know what the right thing to say is, but you don't do it. You know what the right thing to feel is, but you don't do it. Let me give an example, right? So back in the past, when I was still someone that was dealing with anxiety a lot, like very anxious person, very anxious kid, teenager, right? I'm still technically a teen for real, but very anxious, right? I would be in a situation, I would be in a social circumstance and consciously know that there is nothing to be anxious for. There's nothing to be anxious for. There's nothing to feel any type of way about. Consciously, I'm aware of this. But subconsciously, what's actually going on within my body, I'm still anxious. I'm still stuck in some type of way, right? Another example that I could give. You're out in a social event. You know the right, let's say, you know what, I got females watching my videos too. So let me make this a bit more neutral. Let's say you're out in a social event, networking event, right? You know that you should be talking to as many people as you can, making as many connections as you can. Consciously, you are aware of this. But what are your actions actually dictating, right? You're not doing it. And this is what I call the mind's parasite. You know consciously what it is that you want to do, but you have no control over your body or internal state or whatnot to actually go and do the thing. Like the anime Parasite. The main character, I forgot his name. He was able to stop the parasite at his arm. So right now he doesn't have control of his arm for real. That is completely the parasite's control. But the other characters that actually got fully parasitized, they got to the brain, they have no control of their body, right? Something similar. So when it comes to the parasite, right? How I see it, it's a struggle between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. You know what it is that you should be doing consciously, but subconsciously you're not doing it. And the thing is, you have to recognize that it is from the subconscious mind that all the things that you want to do really comes from, right? Your actions, your thoughts, your internal state of being, your emotions, all of it stems from the subconscious mind. So consciously, and we'll just use the example of, I'll use a personal example, networking event. I know that I should be speaking to as much people as I can, getting as much opportunities as I can, putting my best foot forward and all of that. But I didn't do it. We're gonna stick with this example. Consciously, this is what I know I should do. But because my subconscious isn't primed a specific type of way, or I haven't changed my subconscious or my self-concept, or whatever you wanna call it, a specific type of way, I don't do it. Or I might try to do it, but there's this resistance, there's this pull to bring me back, right? And the parasite, the mind's parasite, is essentially a struggle between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So whenever you feel this resistance to do what it is that you know you should do, just notice that it is your subconscious mind that is against what it is that you want to do consciously, right? So how do you overcome this? How do you get your subconscious mind on board with what you consciously know that you should do? First thing that I could think about off the top of my head is that it's an identity issue. Maybe something that you're trying to do, the thing that it is that you're trying to do, you don't have an identity that supports that, or you have an identity that is against it, right? So an example that I can give, same network example, let's not change it. Same networking example, you're trying to network, you're trying to create connections, right? Maybe one of your beliefs about yourself, or one of the identities or facets of your identity, is that I am a shy person. I am not an outgoing person, right? So because your subconscious is primed in this specific type of way, it will only really support actions in alignment with that I am, with that decision that you made about yourself in the past. Or if you really want to get deep, that decision that was kind of made for you, but that's not the scope of this video, right? Boom. Because you are not primed, your subconscious is not primed, your identity is not primed towards this kind of action, it doesn't support it, it would more so actually actively oppose it, right? So how do you overcome this? The first step is just recognizing what beliefs or identities you currently hold. What are you currently defined by? And maybe some of you are self-introspective enough to just go into yourself and just like figure that out based off a couple of conversations. Some of y'all might need to observe your actions and then derive what your definition of self comes from. But the first step is just recognizing what are you being currently defined by. The second step is to consciously choose to be defined by something else, right? So I could give an example from my personal life. I used to be a very lazy procrastinator, right? And I kind of perceive myself as such, so much so that my mom's was like, yo, you so lazy. Ooh, lazy. You know, just to use an accent. Ooh, lazy. Gade cause monsieur. Ooh, lazy. Come on, garçon lazy comme ça, right? Just to use the language, right? But essentially saying that I'm a lazy son. I don't do nothing around the house. I don't do nothing. We all know what lazy is, right? So that was a core tenet of my identity. That was a core tenet of my definition. And because that is what I was defined by, I didn't consciously choose to be defined by that, but it's just a definition that I was given and I started to live by. I was lazy. I didn't do much. I didn't do shit. You know what I'm saying? I didn't do nothing, right? So I recently made a change. I know that, well, not recently, that was way back when. But I know that I didn't want to be this anymore. I know that I didn't want to be defined by this any longer. I made the connection that I had a personal self-definition of being lazy. I made a decision to myself that I no longer want to be that. And I made a decision that because I no longer want to be this, I want to be a diligent, hardworking person, right? So that's the first step. Become conscious. Become conscious. It's like 3 steps right there, actually. Become conscious. After becoming conscious, make a decision, right? Are you going to stick with this definition or are you going to change the definition? I decided to change the definition. Now that I changed the definition, you still have to understand that even after you've made a choice, your subconscious is still primed a specific type of way for the first identity, the identity of being lazy, or the identity of being shy. That's why you're not networking, right? So consciously you know that you've changed, but subconsciously you still haven't changed. And this is where the next step comes in. The next step is simply this. You need to make a distinction. Super simple. You just need to make a distinction. And what would that distinction be? Because, and I'm gonna take the lazy, diligent, hardworking example, right? Because I have now consciously made the decision to not be lazy. Sorry, but consciously made the decision to be diligent. I am no longer lazy. I am a hardworking, diligent, consistent person, right? I now need to take the time to make a distinction between who I am now and who I once was, or who I no longer am. So I'm gonna have thoughts relating to be lazy. Man, why are you doing this work right now, man? Let's just go watch some anime. Well, why are you doing this work right now, man? Let's just go play the game. Something like that, right? That's a lazy thought. Those are thoughts in alignment with laziness. Sluggishness, the internal feeling of feeling sluggish. That is an emotional and internal state that is aligned with laziness. So all of these things, and it starts with becoming aware of these things, all of these thoughts, emotions, and ideas that are in alignment with being lazy, right? Make a distinction. That is lazy thoughts. I am no longer this. That is not me. You start to separate yourself. When you begin to separate yourself, you begin to have an understanding that because I am no longer this, I should no longer engage with this. You're able to take a step back and look at these parts of yourself, or parts that once were a part of yourself, these things that once were a part of yourself. You get to look back at it and just let it do its thing, let it dissipate, let it go with the wind. Because I'm no longer aligned with that, I am not going to engage with that. I am not going to act in accordance with that. Now, of course, you're going to have to put some structure or some systems in place so that that remains consistent. But for the most part, this is how you go about changing your subconscious mind. Make a decision, become conscious of what you currently are defined by, create a new definition for yourself, create a distinction in your mind with thoughts, emotions, ideas, create a distinction between that which is you, your new definition, and that which is no longer you, your old definition, and then essentially only engage with that which is from your new definition. Over time, your subconscious will begin to course correct and just take you to the straight and narrow. You dig? So that's really all it is. That's the mind's parasite. And this is something I'm still dealing with day by day, with new things that I'm exploring about myself and I'm exploring about the world. But that's pretty much it. How do you get rid of your mind's parasite and just let your subconscious mind, work with you rather than against you? It's all about definition. What do you define by? Identity. What do you choose to define yourself by? And just aligning with that. So that's pretty much it for real. Have a good day. I hope this helps someone out there in the world.